So I found myself rereading the book of First Samuel. There's a lot in the book of First Samuel, a lot to talk about, a lot to look at. But what I'm going to talk about first is First Samuel 17, a story we probably heard since we were little kids, right? David and Goliath. We know that Goliath was with the Philistines, and he said, find one warrior in Israel to go against me one-on-one. If you can defeat me, then the Philistines will become your servant. And didn't nobody want to fight Goliath, right? He was 6 cubits in a span. They said that was nearly 10 feet tall. Didn't nobody want to fight him but David. David told Saul, the king of Israel at the time, I'll fight him, I'll defeat him. And Saul said, how are you going to do it? You're a youth and he's been fighting since his youth. And David said, I defeated this bear. I defeated this lion. In the same way I defeated this bear and the lion is the same way God will allow me to defeat this Philistine as well. So Saul said, may the Lord be with you. He handed him his helmet, his coat of mail, and he handed him his sword. And David put it on. He said, but David did not prove it, so he did not take it to battle. Saul was just thinking in his natural mind, right? Well, if you're going to battle, you should probably take my helmet. You should probably take my sword, right? But David understood this isn't what God told me to do. He told me to get this sling. He told me to get these rocks. I can't take your helmet. I can't take your sword. I can't take your coat. That's not what God told me to do. And I started thinking about it logically, right? We know Saul was head and shoulders above everybody in Israel. We know he's very tall. Why? Because when Samuel looked at Eliab, David's brother, Samuel said, surely this is God's anointed. And God said, don't look at that. You're looking at his physical appearance and you're looking at the height of his stature. So for him to be head and shoulders above even Eliab, we know that Saul must have been very tall. For him to give his helmet and his coat and the sword to a child, I'm sure it looked like a child playing in his father's clothing and just end up looking foolish. David understood, I can't have no backup plan. Can't be no, if God's plan doesn't work out, well then give me your helmet, give me your sword, give me your coat. I can't take none of that. I just got to do what God told me to do. Because whatever backup plan we think we have in our head, it doesn't work. It just ends up looking foolish. The second thing is, David had confidence in whatever God had told him to do. We know he had confidence because he didn't come to battle timid. It said he ran to battle. And when he ran to battle, he then looked at Goliath and said, he said, you're coming with the sword, you're coming with the spear, you're coming with the shield. He said, but I'm coming in the name of the Lord. Which shows just how confident he was, because most people would have been like, you're coming with a sword? Is that a shield? You came with a spear too? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I didn't hear God right. Maybe I should turn back around. And you may have got fearful at that moment. Reason he didn't become fearful because he told that giant about his God. He said, but I'm coming in the name of the Lord, and I will defeat you. Let these people know there is a God in Israel. And then David, he ended up being so confident. He said, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to cut off your head. So then he got the sling, cocked it back or whatever, hit him in the head with the rock, and Goliath then fell. And then he ran up to Goliath, took his sword, because David didn't come to battle with the sword, took Goliath's sword, then cut off his head with his sword and brought it back to the people to let them know what you just made about, what you're afraid about, what you are running from. You don't need to run from that, but there is a God in Israel you should run to. And it just let me know how confident we got to be in whatever God tells us to do. And I started thinking about it this time. Goliath was 10 feet tall, obviously undefeated because he was still alive. And they're fighting since youth, and David was just a little shepherd boy. And we often say it was an unfair advantage. And it was an unfair advantage. But when you look at it, it's an unfair advantage on David's side. Goliath brought a knife to a gunfight. He brought a sword and a spear to a sling fight. David is shot from a distance. I know that was before their time, so now it's easier to see what David had the advantage. At the time, it was harder to see because they weren't shooting things back then like they do now. But we see that David had the clear advantage in this situation, right? He could just shoot back and sling. This wasn't even a battle for real. He just shot one time and it was over. If we do whatever God tells us to do, we'll see that whatever giant I'm facing, whatever situation I think is difficult to overcome, it's not difficult to overcome at all. God will give me wisdom, like he gave David wisdom, because did nobody else have wisdom to defeat Goliath but David? God gave David wisdom to defeat that giant. God will give us wisdom to defeat our giants, where it won't be a battle, it won't be a hard situation, it'll be easy.